Steady as she goes, boys. Don't mess up this franchise. You've come too far.
How do you not die? You never die. Take a couple of tablespoons of cement and harden the hell up!
Tremors, a cold day in hell. This is the 6th installment in the Tremors franchise. Its subtitle is A Play on the Line Tremors 3, which was also written by Joss Whelpley, who also wrote the previous installment, Bloodlines. It all connects. The plot. It is a story to chill you to your funny bone. Bert Gummer. Played, of course, by Michael Gross. It's gross. Along with the son Travis, played yet again by Jamie Kennedy, head off to Canada to investigate a cold climate catastrophe. Graboids and ass blasters have awoken from under the ice, and now orange and red blood will be spilled in a wintry warm war that could end on a major downer note. You see, Bert is ill, and it's a race against time to get to the cure and bring back the Bert we know and love. As a whole, this series has been fantastic. From the classic material of the first film, to the cheesy fun of parts 2 to 5, and TV series, this franchise has proven time and time again it isn't afraid to try something new. Following the formula of part 5, the humor is raunchier and a bit brasher than anything before that movie. I see it as a fresh and a good change of pace, but not everyone was on board. Some people don't like this change. I am glad to say that while I was more amazed by the effects in part 5, this movie had as well as better humor, somewhat. I did find myself laughing a lot more than part 5, and the dialogue, while cringe-inducing at times, still delivered the crude nature that this film provides. Not only in jokes, but actions. I'll explain more about that in a bit. A lot of the cast members were on board to making this movie. Therefore, a huge body count, but also a decent amount of survivors. At times, the amount of characters doesn't seem bloated, but you can tell everyone apart, which is a good thing. One thing I do wish is that we had a new creature. I mean, it's possible they teased a new one, but that makes this and the first Tremors, part 4 is debatable with the baby graboids, to not feature a new incarnation of the creatures. Also, I don't understand how African graboids would be in this area. They should have come up with a new design, not just change them to the color blue, but... Bert is great as always, but he may be a bit too stubborn this time. At one point he becomes so resistant to everyone that it was kind of out of character of him. One could argue that he was afraid of dying, but I think of it as him focusing on the mission, and only the mission. Jamie Kennedy does a serviceable job. I didn't love his character in part 5, and I'm not completely sold yet. However, keep in mind, I watched parts 1 to 4 a lot when I was younger, so I've grown a huge pair of nostalgia goggles for those movies. Parts 5 and 6 are still going to take some time to getting used to, but I do enjoy both of these films a lot. The rest of the cast does well with what they are given to work with. You can tell everyone had a blast making this movie. The gore, the effects. This movie is gross. It is probably the most disgusting in the franchise, next to part 5 and 3. All written by Joss Whelpley, too. He's got a sick sense of humor. There's severed limbs and fart gags, as well as a lot of orange blood, and even quite a bit of red stuff to go around. I was actually kind of surprised this was given a PG-13. The CGI on the creatures is as good as part 5. Kind of. However, I do feel there was less of a budget to work with, because the Graboid and Ass Blaster screen time is noticeably reduced. The musical score, it fits the franchise's country twang, but it could have been a bit better. Still, it is fun and definitely doesn't feel forced. Okay, so I'd say this is probably the second worst or simply the worst of the franchise, but surprisingly, that doesn't mean it sucked. We're 6 movies and a TV show in, with a part 7 coming out in the near future. It looks like Tremors is a hot item in the industry. I really enjoyed this movie, but there are some problems. It did take a lot to call it just decent. It's a bit above decent and is a gross-out, action-packed, and monstrous B-movie creature feature that I welcome to try and compete with my nostalgia goggles. I bet in 10 years it might just fit nice and snug with the rest of the series. Overall, I give Tremors A Cold Day in Hell a 3.5 out of 5. And for those of you who have seen my review with the horror show, how we all lambasted the film, I watched it again after that, and it was a lot more fun. I don't know why. My original rating was a 3 out of 5. Now I boosted it up to another 0.5, so. Reasons. Lion Brian Gatto, host of Horror Show Entertainment. Make sure to like my Facebook page in the description below, leave comments, and subscribe.